Good morning, YouTube. I've got a goodie for you today, brought to you by the sponsor of today's video, Rocket Money. If you've been in my streams at all over the past few months, you've probably heard me mention that I'm saving up for a house. And the sponsor of today's video, Rocket Money, is here to help. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you lower bills, cancel subscriptions, and manage your money better. I'm personally using Rocket Money to set budgets. This way I can analyze my spending habits and create a custom budget that works for my lifestyle. It automatically monitors your spending habits by category and gives you a notification if you've exceeded your limits. Rocket Money also found that I was paying for an extra streaming service that I wasn't aware of, that I had thought I had canceled, and I was able to cancel it through the Rocket Money app. If you want to save more and spend less, join over the 5 million members who are using Rocket Money today, right now, by using the link in the description below, or by going over to rocketmoney.com/flats to get started for free now. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. You can also unlock even more features with Premium, but you can start for free right now by going down and clicking on my link down in the description below. Thanks so much to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video, and as always, I'll see you again tomorrow. You know what time it is. It is time for a lot of people's favorite time, the Overwatch Season 12, beginning of season tier list. Now, I always try to wait a little bit before I put these out. It's been about 5 days of new season. One, just in case there's any small adjustments, and two, just to get a better feel for it. This season is arguably both the easiest and toughest season, I think, to rank characters. There's a few things that stand out to me. You're gonna notice a trend that dive characters are really strong, and the patch notes were supposed to nerf the dive characters. So it's like, weird, because a lot of the dive characters got nerfs, but they're the best characters in the game now. So it's like, You'll see that probably as it goes. First up, we always do tanks, followed by DPS, followed by support. This isn't my normal tier list, so it's a bit out of order than I normally do it. But first up, we've got Zarya. And I think Zarya is actually probably a pretty good baseline middle B, where she would be pretty good if it wasn't hard dive. Zarya has for a long time just been a pub stomper tank, where if you're just really good at mechanically and you bubble people, you can pop off. There's also a character that's going to be a very big surprise in the S tier category later that pairs really well with Zarya, which could make Zarya rise up higher in this rankings later on down the line. That doesn't mean Zarya is the best. That means that the other character that Zarya pairs with is really good. And because that character is really good, it makes Zarya better. So a lot of the times when I've seen really annoying Zaryas, it's because they enable another extremely strong hero, but that doesn't make Zarya very good. Next up, Mauga. Mauga's weird because, like, I think he's not great at the moment, but he's not horrendous. But I have to throw him in a C, and I mean a very light C. And the reason I say a very light C is because dive is very strong. And because of the new cardiac overdrive, it's only 3 seconds now. So you can't really save your teammates very much with the E. But if like Ram, Rein, Queen even like were much better, like the more ground rush characters, Mauga would be so much better. Because Mauga is just like the other tank character at this point, right? So it's kind of like a little bit sad that that's like kind of like his whole design kit. That's the reason why it doesn't really work, because like there's other tanks, we'll get there in a minute, that are really strong. And you can kind of just like try to avoid him at all costs. So luckily Mauga isn't destroying everybody at the moment, which is great. Mauga gets destroyed by Queen most of the time, I feel. That might be especially true in ranks where people can't aim really well, because Queen has a small hitbox, so it's harder for them to land all their shots. But if it's a Mauga that actually can aim, that is definitely not happening. And how do I know that? I have like a litmus test at this point for the beginning of every season of how good Mauga is and how scary Mauga is, and I'm calling it my Craggy test. And so basically, if you don't know, during the beginning of season, there's drops, and I do extremely long streams at the beginning of drops. I do like 16, 17, 18, 20, 22-hour, 24-hour streams. And so sometimes I come back around into EU morning time when Craggy gets on and we play some games together. And sometimes you get some shitter in like a quick play game that's like counter swapping him, and he goes Malga, and he just starts running them over. And it's like my litmus test, because he can hit every shot like on the left click and the right click at range. He doesn't miss any of them at all. And so I just see how much damage he can do over time. It's like my litmus test for Malga. And it's like, oh, if you mechanically are insanely talented, Malga's actually still very spooky, but he's not the best tank. He's just kind of like, he's lurking in the shadows. So please don't buff Malga. He can absolutely still destroy. It's just not the place for him at the moment. Next up, Doomfist, and I'm a little bit tied. Like, I don't even know if I should put him here, but I feel like I need to sell how strong Dive is. I think I have to. I think I have to put Doom in a solid A. Dive is the predominant comp this season. And there are a couple other characters that f with Doom, and he's not the best Dive character. There are 2 that I think of that are better in the tank role, but he's still extremely strong. That's because of the hypermobility, and there's the follow-up, and we'll get there in a minute. So I don't want to go too much into Doom. Another really strong Dive character is Ball. Ball is also really strong. And the reason though being there is Ball always, even before this season, has been really good until he isn't. That's like the whole thing with Ball, right? Like Ball is like basically the perfect example of counter swap Overwatch, where Ball can destroy the game until everyone counter swaps the Ball, and then he can't play anymore. But there's a catch now, where all the counter swap stuff is already being played. So it's like your Sombra, your Tracer, your Brig, right? Like all of those are already being played, but by both teams. So it's like, you can't counter swap if everyone's already there. Ball isn't the strongest of all the Dive tanks, but the really good Ball players will still feast. And if they don't full counter swap you, you can even do more than you were doing before. Next up, Ramatra. Ramatra, I think, is pretty good. I think Ramatra is pretty good. I don't know if I want to put him in B or A. I'm thinking more B over A. But I haven't been able to come to a full decision. Basically, you can just be like almost like old Ramatra, like older season Ramatra, where you just like, you hit all your buttons, you hit all your cooldowns, and then you block, right? You have really good sustain. But that doesn't mean you go kill things, unfortunately. Not this season. Because like, again, remember, it's Dive. Like, who are you going to walk at? The only people you're going to walk on are their backline, most likely. There's a problem with that. Their backline is playing like on a Brig, like a mile away, and you ain't getting there. Or they're playing like Kiri Lucio. Or they're playing like Juno Lucio or Juno Kiri, and you're just not going to get there. Like, who do you even chase, right? Even though you have good sustain, like they just jump your backline and they all die, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't even help. You legitimately can't help. So Ramatra is actually like low-key sneaky good, but if they play like meta Dive comp, you're kind of cooked. So it's weird. Like, Ramatra's good, but the meta's so against his play style that it's like, if you're playing against really good Dive tanks, you legitimately can't do anything. Speaking of legitimately can't do anything, Sigma. Sigma suffers a lot in hard Dive metas. This is probably the weakest Poke has been in a while after the Illari nerf. So Illari was actually kind of keeping this whole Sigma Poke high level comp going together. But I feel like Sigma's just kind of gets run over a little bit now. He has the same problem as Ramatra, where they just ignore him. They just run by him, right? Everybody runs by the Sigma. There's some maps that still will probably work. Your Circle Royales, your Joker Queen, your Joker Towns, right? But like, just play Dive. Legitimately just play Dive. Like, that is what I'm trying to sell to you. It's like, just play Dive. Just play Dive. Just play Dive. Like, if you don't play Dive, you're already putting yourself in a worse position. Like, this is the Dive season, which is hilarious because all the Dive characters got nerfed. So, I mean, it's kind of, it's kind of a little bit tough. I'm actually going to go a little bit against the grain here, I think, and put Queen into the B, even though I've definitely seen some people say she's weak, and I've seen some people say that she's not bad. I think Queen's really good in Clash. I think Clash is where Queen can be actually pretty strong because of the tight chokes and the ability to run at people. But again, though, Dive is still really strong. Queen's not bad. Queen's actually pretty good. Here's the other thing I've noticed this season, at least in my own play, and I haven't been playing a whole lot of Overwatch the last month before the new season, right? So I get it. I'm still kind of unwashing a little bit. But actually, I've actually been winning a good amount of games. Not quick play. Lose literally every quick play game. I think me and Emon lost every quick play game for like 2 hours straight. But ranked games actually been going pretty well this season. I can't even complain. That being said, though, this is the season I've noticed that turn your brain off and shoot the other tank playstyle gives you so much value. And I've always been like more of a flashy type of tank player where I always try to like go make plays and I always try to like go for backline. I always try to go for kills. I just started standing there and shooting the other tank for a bit, and then when he would go after my backline, I'd turn around and just kill him. And now I win most of my games. And it's like literally truly turn your brain off and just shoot the other tank. And I know it's not good, and I know it's not how you should be playing, and I know it's not like skillful. Literally the meme of I can't stop winning. Like it's so ass. Like what's happened? What's happened? Why am I getting rewarded for that? So I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's just this season. I don't know what it is. But yeah, you should try that. You should give that a shot if you haven't already. This one is arguably borderline, but I'm gonna go ahead and pump it over the line, and I'm gonna put Winston in S tier. There's an argument for maybe a high A, low S Winton. I'm gonna pair Winton with the other S tier tank as a preferred choice. Even though some people prefer the other one because of the kill potential, Winston is much better in the mirror now with, let's go ahead and do it really quick. With D.Va. D.Va is still extremely good even after the half-second defense matrix nerf, which is so funny. Because in the patch notes, they made a little note saying how the increased defense matrix really didn't change her win rate at all. And I remember reading going, you guys are really shooting, you guys are standing on business right there, man. And then I saw some takes of like, wow, it's really condescending that they said that, like, how dare they? And then like the nerf happens, and like D.Va's still like the best tank in the game probably. So like, damn, dude, they were, like maybe they were kind of wrong on that one. You know what I mean? Like maybe they were kind of onto something, right? So yeah, D.Va is extremely good. D.Va's probably the better kill potential, but Winston ignores armor now. So that whole playstyle I was talking about, where you just sit there and shoot the D.Va a little bit, is so much stronger now, because you cut through armor much better. And D.Va's left click, like not her missiles, but her regular left click doesn't do that much to Winston's armor. So you actually kind of start to win the 1v1 now. Just don't get blown up by the missiles, and you'll be fine. So it's kind of a bit of a preference there. I think D.Va's slightly stronger, but I think both of them are just fine. Next up, Orisa. I think Orisa's sneaky good. I have seen some Orisas do some crazy shit. But Orisa also falls victim to the same thing, where you just go dive and then you just ignore her and then you kill the rest of her team. But does that mean Orisa's bad? Should I knock her down to C? I don't know. I haven't seen enough Orisas this season. But the couple of Orisas I've seen, they just run at you. There's just, what do you do? Like, you literally don't do anything. They literally run at you until your tank counter swaps. And then once your tank goes Winston or D.Va and you just ignore them, then they don't do anything. But like, if your tank's playing Doom, Ramatra, Mauga, actually, I haven't seen much Mauga, actually, to be fair, either in that department. Rein, you gotta get bullied a little bit. It's weird. It's scary. I think Orisa's like low-key, like sneaking around in the dark right now, and it scares me, dude. Rein. Low-key, I think Rein's actually pretty decent. I think Rein's actually low-key pretty damn good. Here's the catch. Dive is still really good. So Rein is really strong in the maps where you think Rein is strong. Like your Flashpoint Antarctica, right? Where it's really, really tight indoor areas. He's just so tanky. You just have to be really careful. You have to be really careful to not take poke. Remember what I was telling you before about just shooting the other tank? Rein does that really well. Where if they're playing, let's go through the examples, right? Like, I want to take Winston D.Va out of the equation, even though Winston D.Va is actually not even that bad. Like, and like in those situations, like you can kind of still do well. Zarya, you can kind of bully. Ramatra is a lot more even. I wouldn't say bully. It's definitely a lot more even. Mauga, you just shield him off and make sure he can't lifesteal off you with his E. Sigma, you bully. Queen, you can bully. Orisa, you can't bully, but you can out-sustain. But that doesn't mean Rein's, like, real. Like, I just think Rein is really good at in his element. You could still get absolutely shit on, though. You know, like if you just try to lock Ryan every map and you play against dive, you're gonna get rolled. But in those situations where they have to fight you, like close quarters, or let's say like third point of escort, where it's one fight and they have to touch the point to stop you from capping, you will dominate. Like they can't kill you, and you will roll them. But outside of those situations, Winston D.Va dive is still way better. So like when I say Ryan, I mean like over here in A, like even low B, like high A. I just want to like say out of like the slower brawl tanks, Ryan's probably the best at the moment, at least in my opinion. Roadhog, I don't think Roadhog's that good. I think he's just tanky as shit, and he's really annoying. The Ana's made a bit of a comeback too. Ana's made a bit of a comeback. You can just ignore him 90% of the time. And like, especially with dive being hard, like really strong, if they don't hit their hook, you just ignore them. You know, you don't have to worry about them running around and just not dying. You just leave them alone for a bit. That doesn't mean I don't think Hog is gonna not be bad though, like long term, right? Like let's say if dive gets a nerf and you go back to like these other tanks, I think Hog makes a bit of a comeback. But at the moment, I don't think Hog is like that good, at least from what I've seen. I don't think he's bad either though. I think he's like weird. He's weird. He's in a weird spot. That's the best way I could put it. Okay, DPS time. First up, we got Bastion. I don't think Bastion's very good. I don't think Bastion's very good at all. Like the problem is it all goes around in shift. And like, yeah, if you get a good shift on a tank, you could blow him up. Like on a Rhine or a Ramatra or Zarya or some shit like that. But that's not really being played that much. And if they do play it, like they're already kind of trolling a little bit, you know. So I don't think Bastion's your best play. Cass, I think, is significantly worse this season than as opposed to previous seasons. But he's also really good into dive. But the problem is, though, dive is so strong, you can run him over. So, like, Cass is a good middle ground where, like, dive is good but not OP, that he can put dive characters in check. But when dive is really strong, like it is now, he actually becomes the target. So remember what I was saying to you earlier about the whole Ramatra thing on, like, who do you go kill? Right? Like, who do you go kill when they have a backline of Kiri Lucio or Juno Lucio or Juno Kiri, right? And then they have Sombra Tracer and a D.Va. Who do you go kill on the Ramatra? Well, on the opposite end, when you have the Winston D.Va, Doom Ball, and they have a Cass, Cass is actually your dive target. You actually go kill this guy. Because he doesn't have sustain, and he doesn't have mobility. He's actually your target. So, even though Cass is pretty good into dive, he's actually your dive target at the same time. So, Cass go, boom. Genji. I think Genji's actually low-key not terrible. I think he's not terrible. I think he's okay. But he's not the best of the dive DPS. I might even bump him up one. He's okay. He's okay. You could make an argument for A. I actually might bump him in A. I want to get further before I talk about Genji more, because I have larger thoughts on Genji. Hanzo. Hanzo, I think, is better this season after the changes, and worse. It's hilarious, because like now Hanzo can headshot another Hanzo, but you're threatening to Sombra, you're threatening to Tracer, you're threatening to Juno, you're threatening to Echo, you're threatening to Kiri. You're threatening to... Wait, did Kiri get... Wait, I don't actually remember it. Wait, did Kiri get changed? I don't know. You're threatening to Juno. You're threatening to Lucio. You're threatening to Moira. Okay, Kiri did. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head all of them. But you're much more threatening to all of these characters now. Which is good. Because, like, 1 shot versus 2 shots is light years difference. That being said, though, Hanzo's also easier to kill. So it's weird. It's like very weird. Like it's both good and bad. So it's like, you know, Junkrat. Junkrat isn't great, but there's a lot of Junkrat connoisseurs that have been running around just playing. So it's kind of weird. I've seen a lot of Junkrat connoisseurs and a lot of people playing Junkrat, but I don't think he's good, but I don't think he's bad either. I need to get further in this list. I'm trying to figure out who I want to put higher and who I want to put lower. This is tough. This is like I said at the beginning, this is one of the toughest and easiest seasons to rank characters I've ever had. Because like the nerfs and buffs don't align up with like what's being played at the same time. It's weird. It's strange, dude. Okay, next, Mei. I think Mei is sneaky very good, actually. Do I want to put it in here, 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 and here, and here, and here, and here, and here? Okay. Mei actually pairs really well with another DPS, and I'm just gonna do them right now. Mei and Venture pair really, really, really well. Like these, like this is your makings of the non-meta comp. Like the Rhine, Mei, Venture, like this core right here is the making of the non-dive core. So like on Samoa, on Antarctic Peninsula, on third point of Escort trying to cap one last fight, right? Like you're trying to play hyper grouped, hyper death ball versus dive, right? And the map has to kind of play around you at that point. And so it's not good everywhere. It's not good everywhere. It requires some teamwork. It requires some synergy. But it is extremely strong. So it's weird. Like dive is 100% the best comp, but this is probably the making of number 2. Like if all the dive heroes get nerfed, this is probably like your future season meta. Does that make sense? Okay, Pharah. I think Pharah is actually still really good. I think Pharah is still really good. I don't know if I want to put A tier type of good, but still absolutely very, very good for sure. I might even bump Pharah up to A. At the moment though, I'm kind of thinking around high B, maybe over here. Yeah, I'm thinking like high B at least at the moment. Might come back to this. Might have to revisit this. Probably the most controversial and S tier Reaper. Insane. Actually busted. Is actually insane. He's legitimately broken. Came out of nowhere. Shreds. Actually shreds. Any non-armored target falls over. Even armored targets takes a little bit longer, but like it's still a Reaper. He's still life stealing off you. So like you don't shred the tanks as hard as you did before, the armored tanks, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You literally two-shot half the roster. So with dive being really good, right? There's two parts of this. One, Reaper's good at peeling for like your Winstons, right? Good at peeling for your Winstons. Although, granted, like I said, Reaper's not as good against armor anymore, so it's not as good. It's not like, I see Winton, I pick Reaper. No. That is pre-armor changes, maybe. And even then, it wasn't that good of an idea. But it is helpful. It's absolutely helpful. And two, you go with the dive. You play quote-unquote dive Reaper. You TP in. You TP behind them. You TP somewhere. And also, I don't know what it is, but the Mythic feel like it doesn't make a noise. So I don't know what's going on in that department either. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm getting old, you know? But yeah, Reaper's kind of busted. So good luck with that one. Soldier. I don't even think Soldier's bad. I just don't think he performs very well in dive. I don't know if I want to put him in Bastion Junkrat tier. But I don't think Soldier's very good. I think Soldier's suffering a little bit. He doesn't do well versus dive. He also doesn't do very well versus brawl. I don't know if I want to put him in C, but like, I also don't feel like totally right putting him in the same category as like Pharaoh or Genji, you know? So like, this is like a rough C+. Rough C+ at the moment. Yeah, you're just literally like a small damage over time poker. Like you don't have a whole lot of impact, you know? So like I can't. Soldier should be low A. Yeah, you're living up to your name. You're tripping. You're tripping, dude. No, that is absolutely not true. Next up, Symmetra. I don't think Symmetra's great, but I don't think Symmetra's terrible either. I think Symmetra can also be slotted in with like these like hyper rush comps. But that being said, though, I also don't think Symmetra's the best. So like, I'm actually gonna put Symmetra down here as well. I'm gonna put Symmetra down here. You just get overwhelmed by dive. No, Symmetra's not good into dive. The only thing good about her dive or in the dive is just like the turrets, like annoying tracers. But even then, I don't even think it's a great idea. Maybe in a diva, but like they have to be a pretty bad diva. I don't think I can put Symmetra very high, unfortunately. I actually don't think Symmetra's bad. I actually think she's good. Just not right now. Like the meta just doesn't favor her very much. And even in these like hyper brawl comps, like I'd rather Mei Venture over Symmetra. You know, you just you TP out of spawn then swap Venture. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if you can communicate with the whole team, Sim is really busted. Okay, if we're gonna talk perfect synergy then, but like then these are way better. Like dive is much better, and also this hyper brawl comp is way better with full communication. Because like if we're gonna apply that argument, then like these ones become even better. So like, yeah, you're also playing ranked, so you're not gonna communicate with the whole team. Let's be honest with ourselves. Torb, you know, I think Torb low-key slept on. I think he's actually pretty damn good. And not enough people are playing him. You got a good buff. Torb turret isn't gonna roll the dive DPS, but like it's enough to give them a headache. How's that biased? I don't play much Torb. What are you talking about? How much Torb playtime do you think I have? Sombra and Tracer are really good. Which actually, let's do that really quick. Tracer's another S tier DPS for sure. So when you have multiple dive characters that are going to be strong, if you're not playing dive v dive, you're playing anti-dive. Like Torb is one of the best picks you could choose. And this is actually post Tracer nerf. This is post Tracer nerf. Like even though Tracer got nerfed, she's still extremely good. Like Tracer is still absolutely insane. Something to be said there. Widowmaker. It's hard to put Widow very low or very high because Widow can still dominate games, but also with like hyper dive being meta, you're going to be in such a harder spot. So it's like, God, Widow's so weird. Like you don't want to pick Widow unless you're just mechanically talented on a good Widow map, you know? But like on those maps, you can dominate, you can take over the game. But at the same time though, if they hard focus you, you can do nothing. So it's weird. Like, I don't think Widow's good, but I don't think she's bad. Like, I think she just, like, can have crazy carry potential and be broken, or suck balls, depending on the player. And it's like, it's such a hard character to rank right now. So I'm gonna stick them in B, right in the middle. I don't know where else to put them. Feast or famine, yeah, it's a good way to put it. Speaking of feasting, Sombra's feasting. Sombra got some good buffs, small nerfs too. She got the health nerf, and then actually wave respawn is a big nerf to Sombra, because like you spawn a lot of times with another player. So wave respawns was actually a pretty big nerf to Sombra for sure. That being said though, I don't know if you've played Sombra, but if you go up against a 225 like Juno or any of the supports with 225 instead of 250 now, hack, throw your virus, left click, they literally go they don't even make a noise. They don't go up. They go, they just disappear, like gone. They fall over, like they're legitimately gone, you know? Gone. They're dead instantly. Sombra's pretty good into Ball, pretty good into Doom, pretty good into Diva, not very good into Winston. Can be annoying to Winston for sure, but definitely not as valuable. I added the 3 S tier DPS. I'm probably actually, you know, I might actually have 40 S tier DPS. I'm gonna have to think about that for a sec. I think Sombra's really good. Next up is Ashe, A tier for sure. Ashe is probably the best poke DPS in the game right now. Actually, I'm gonna put Ashe over here. I think Ashe is probably like just outside the top row. Bob is extremely good. Pumps out damage. You're still 250 HP. You have your movement tool to save yourself. You just, like, if you have to have a poke character, Ashe is probably your #1 right now. But how is she good into dive? I didn't say she's good into dive. I said that she is your best poke character right now. If you run full dive and run at the Ashe, you can still kill her. But Ashe does have her escape tool. Like, out of all the stationary poke DPS, I think that Ashe is the only one that has like one good escape tool, right? Soldier run? Not really. Cast roll? No. Hanzo leap? No. Sojourn actually probably too is the best escape, but Sojourn's not as good as Ashe right now. So I think Ashe is just, for what she is hanging in there pretty well. So the last S tier DPS, I gotta give it to Echo. I think Echo is insanely good. Insanely good. With the hit skin, like your cast, your soldiers not being that great, like they're being okay. Echo feasts even a little bit more than before. I'm tempted to put them down a little bit lower just because I want to emphasize like this top two right here of like Reaper, Tracer. Yeah, I'm gonna drop them down one. Even though this is probably, they probably deserve to be somewhere in the same level. I have to give it up to Tracer, Reaper, Sombra. They're just slightly better, I think. Well, nah. Who cares about that? Echo's really good too. We're gonna throw Echo up there. Echo's extremely good. Nah. She's not as good as Tracer. She's not as good as Reaper. Nah, we'll go back. Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. This actually makes more sense. I'm more cool with this. Probably the best DPS outside of these. So like before, like after you get outside Reaper, Tracer, Sombra, Echo for sure, then Ashe for sure, then like a little tier break right here, and then Mei, Venture, Torb. Unfortunately though, I can only put so many. This is a problem with tier lists, because like now I need to have like a B+ and an A-, and it's gonna get too complicated at that point, right? So just roll with it. Sojourn's made a bit of a comeback. I think Sojourn's actually really good. Just not top tier, you know? Like Poke's just not it. I think Sojourn's really good though. Fun to play. They cooked with the changes. You can absolutely still take over the game with like the Sojourn Mercy Pocket, for sure. But if you're talking about like best case scenario, like best things to play on those really tight brawl maps, the brawl comp will be stronger, and on like every other map, dive will be stronger. So, I'd probably put Sojourn like the high B, very high B. Whoops, probably high B. That's where I would be at this point. Illari. Okay, so Illari was low-key dominating the game, and then the nerfs hit, and like Illari's like not that good now. You kind of get shit on, especially against hard dive. They just run at you and you fall over. So yeah, that's basically where you're at, you know. That's basically where you're at. Juno. So Juno got some recent buffs. I honestly don't have enough playtime since the recent buffs to really think the strongest of opinions. But I think she's better. I think she's better after the buffs. I think she's much better after the buffs. But I don't think she's very good. Like this is a generous B. Like this is a very generous B. And the only reason I'm, you know what? I don't even know if I want to do this now I think about it. Let's put Juno back. Let's do the rest first. Let's do the other ones first. Juno is, I don't feel strong enough about Juno at the moment. Mercy, Mercy's better. Mercy's for sure better. Mercy's definitely better. The damage boost, you can feel it. The healing, you can feel it. But you just kind of get eaten up by Sombra Dive. So, like, Mercy's still not, like, that great, because you get eaten alive a little bit. Not bad, though. I think Mercy's time in the sun could come back. Just not right now. Not at this moment. Lucio. Yeah. Well, actually. Yeah, that's fine. Lucio got a big buff to his left click and does much more damage now. The reason why I'm considering not putting Lucio in S is because I was trying to decide, do I want to put the Brig version or the Lucio version? I'm just gonna do both. We'll get to it in a minute. We'll explain more. But Lucio's just been good for a while. So, dude, he dies though. Yeah, he does die. He 100% dies. It's more risky now. It's 100% more risky for sure. It's 100% more risky. But that doesn't mean the character's bad, because like really good Lucios were doing the best to not take damage at all anyways, you know? So I still think Lucio is really, really damn good. And also, I'm also trying to really tell you how good dive is. And like Lucio enables that in a lot of ways. Zen. Yeah, Zen kind of gets munched. I actually might put Zen in D. Yeah, Zen's going in D, actually. Zen gets munched. Zen gets eaten up. Zen's get rolled. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta do that. I gotta do that. I don't even think necessarily Zen's bad. It's just like when hyper dive is prevalent, Zen gets eaten. You know? And it's like old Overwatch used to run like Mercy Zen dive. That was a totally different era. This is like season 5 of Overwatch 1, season 6 of Overwatch 1. Zen was still the dive target, but like Zen was so good that like you were okay with being the dive target on each team because you still had impact up until that point you died, and the Trank was still good enough. Now there just isn't. So like, you know, yeah, Zen kind of gets eaten. So, Ana. I think Ana's really good. I think Ana's made a bit of a comeback, but she also gets eaten alive by dive. Like if you don't have a really good brig, and a really good team, like you're like the new Zen, right? You know, I was just talking about with old dive, how you were like the target that would probably get rolled and eaten alive by dive. That's Ana now, but Ana still has impact. So Ana has impact up until the point of dying, with getting eaten alive by hard dive. But the impact that she provides is strong enough that it's worth it a lot of times. Zen does not have that. Zen doesn't have the same value. So Ana's really good. Not much else to really say there. Lifeweaver. Lifeweaver B. Are you crazy, Talk? Lifeweaver's not good. Even though the changes were fantastic. Like, they made Lifeweaver such a better character. He's so much fun. And he's so much more enjoyable. That doesn't mean he's good. Doesn't mean he's good. Like, he's still shit. Like, you're playing Lifeweaver into dive meta. Are you crazy, Talk? Like, are you crazy? He's a numbers character. Like, even though I think they did a great job with the changes, and they made him a better, more fun character overall, that doesn't mean he's good. He's still shit. Like, you know what I mean? He's just... You're talking about a character's entire kit who is about just raw healing and an occasional pull that like 50-50 trolls your teammate, 50-50 helps your teammate. Like that's it. That's what you got, you know? Like, he's still not good. Like, he's still a numbers character at the end of the day. But I do think they did a great job with the changes. They made it so his damage would, like, easier to do damage. The passive charge is a good change as well. Like, you can actually do other things. He's fun. He's more fun. For sure. Does that mean he's strong? Especially into a dive meta? Come on now. Come on now. Let's not be crazy. Let's not be crazy now. Okay. Moira. I think Moira is very middle of the road. Dive meta strong. Moira, you can never go wrong with Moira in a dive meta. They're hard diving you. Go Moira. Stay alive a little bit better. Not the best pick. Not the worst pick. Still fine. Still good. Could even argue maybe even an A. But I don't think Moira is that great, to be honest. I just think that you can pick Moira. Absolutely, no problem. Not good. Not the best. Not bad at all. Be fine. Brig. I'm gonna throw Brig in that S tier. I think Brig is one of your best lines of defense against hard dive. Whip shot, armor, rally. Remember, I've always said Brig's good, just not her meta. Guess what? Now it's a dive meta. This is the best time to have a Brig, right? Especially in ladder play. It's different in like team play, right? Like, you might go Lucio for more like hyper aggressive, but if you're talking about like just regular ladder, like you play Brig and you protect your BAP, you protect your Ana, you protect your Juno, you protect your Kiri, and you just kind of like, you don't play to Rhine, you play back, you know? You play back, you play anti-denial. You don't play aggressive run in, I'm a little mini Reinhardt. Like, you're not a mini Reinhardt. Okay. BAP. I think BAP is also part of this core down here, this Rhine May Venture core, potentially. But I also don't think he's that good right now, because he's a dive target. I'm actually half tempted to put him in B. No, he still provides so much. And he still provides so much. I think it'd be fine. Bat Brig is good. Ana Brig is good. Bat Lucio is good. Ana Lucio is not as good, but it's okay. Yeah, this is probably the way I would go. This is probably the way I would go. Kiri. You know, the devs said Kiri doesn't have a great win rate, despite what people believe. But I still see her in every game. And I still see her in OWCS pro games all the time. And like they all play Kiri. And it's like, what? Like how does every pro match have Kiris in it? But they said that she has like a bad win rate. Like that something doesn't make sense there. And I feel like when you have hyper dive, survivability is one of your best tools. And Kiri has some of the best survivability tools in the game for the support role. So like, how do you not think she's good? I guess. Yeah, I don't get it on that department. Now, granted, I think Kiri's much weaker than she was a long time ago. And I think the reason why Kiri is good is because of survivability. In my own personal opinion, I like having an Ana more. In my own personal opinion, I like having maybe even a Bat more. But those games where they're playing Hyperdive and you're playing Hyperdive, like you like to have a Kiri. So, yeah. Okay. That being said, I've now have a better idea of where I want to put Juno. And I think I want to put Juno more towards the C. I don't even think Juno is bad. I just think like when you have really big dive, like her ult is extremely good. I think that her mobility is pretty good. Just like the fire rate change, man, that was so ass. Like why did they buff her damage and not the fire rate? The fire rate is what made her fun. Like the fire rate was the thing that made Juno fun and enjoyable because you could literally just fight. You could fight back. Like you were completely reliant on winning your duel, but now it's such a slow fire rate that it doesn't feel like you can have the impact. So you kind of get eaten up a little bit on Juno, but I don't think she's that bad either. Like I think the buffs helped her a lot. Like if I had to put in this area, I'm probably putting her on the high end of C, because the ring is really nice. Like being able to, it's like having another speed boost. It is having another speed boost. The ult is really good. I think Juno Rhine is actually unironically like a pretty decent comp in ranked. It's just not it. It ain't there. At least at the moment. I don't know. That's where I'm at least. So. Well, Juno definitely wasn't that good before the buff, and then they buffed her, and now she's much better, but I still don't think, like, she's top tier. And I just think the fire rate change was just such a mistake. It was such a mistake, but it is what it is, what it is, what it is. I think there's definitely some wiggle room, and this is probably the hardest tier list of any season. I don't think the balance is perfect for this game, but they definitely changed up the meta this season again, and unironically, I think this has been one of the more enjoyable seasons of Overwatch. I'm personally losing my mind because I've just been streaming too much, but that's because I have to with drops. But unironically, this is actually a pretty decent season so far. Like I don't feel like anything is egregiously making me like want to scream and lose my shit. At least not yet. I think Reaper could end up being something for like the lower ranks, like your metal ranks could really make people lose their mind. But yeah, here you go. Here's your season 12. Early season, beginning of season tier list.